Hi, boys and girls. Hope you're still doing well. You should have watched the two video clips on settlement geography by now. So, the first clip just basically went through certain concepts, and the second one was also really important, focusing on rural settlements. So, there's just a few things I'd like to go through with you. Just to make sure you understand it, and we're also just going to check what is important for the exam and says especially what to focus on. So I've listed those things in here as well. Okay, so let's start. So first off, you obviously need to know what is a settlement. So a settlement is a grouping of people, activities, building structures, and communication networks that function as a single integrated system on a daily basis. You can, of course, use your own words, but this is more or less the fundamentals of a settlement. Then, site and situation. This is an extremely important question or topic to understand. They like to ask questions regarding this, so make sure you understand both site and situation and the difference between the two. So, site is the actual piece of land where the settlement is located. So, what I always imagine is, if I was a settler like hundreds of years ago and I walked around, what would I be looking for in a piece of land? Why would I choose that land to settle there? So they give an example at the bottom, which is really good. So it's flat and fertile land, that's really important. Near the ocean, maybe not as important, but there needs to be some type of water source. So good rivers, always flowing, so that we call, of course, perennial rivers. And then shelter from the mountains. So back in the day, the mountain could have been protection, basically, so you could see other people coming that might want to attack you. But mountains can also form a source of protection against wind. Then situation. This is now the location of a settlement in relation to other settlements and the environment. So the example they give you is halfway location on trade routes. So you might be in the middle between two trade routes, and as a result, you will get people traveling through your place. Another example, like Kimberley, could be like a center for the surrounding places like Jacobsdal, Ricci. So they buy all of their stock and get their services from Kimberley. Okay, let's move on. Then this is just an example of the difference between a rural and urban settlement. So if I ask you to give me the difference between a rural and an urban settlement, how to define if a place like, let's say, Kimberley is rural or urban, how would you do that? It's very easy often to see the difference if you can take picture A, that is rural, and B, that is urban. But sometimes it is not always as clear, and there's certain things we look at to determine if a place is rural and urban, and we'll get to that soon. In the video, you would have noticed they give you classifications of settlements. So I've just added a picture to each one of these so that you can see what we are talking about. So isolated farm. Here we talk about the Karoo, so hamlet, Magaliesburg, village, Greyton, town, Beaufort West, city, Port Elizabeth or PE, metropolis, Durban, conurbation, PWV. So that, of course, is a combination of actually three places. So that's Pretoria, Witwatersrand, and Vereniging. So those three places together form this one area of PW, known as PWV. So here you can have cities that actually link to each other and become one big city. Then megalopolis. No, the USA is not a megalopolis, but there is a city in the USA that is definitely a megalopolis, and that is part of your homework to find out which one it is. Then, now we get to the difference between rural and urban settlements. So, rural, I'm not going to go through all of these points, you can read them. The main thing you would have noticed in the video, what they talk about is unifunctional. So, it has more than one function. Unifunctional. There's one main function, where multifunctional, your urban areas, that is more than one function. Two main ways of recognizing a rural or urban settlement. your urban settlements population density is higher than your rural area. So that means there's more people in a specific area than in your rural areas. And then the main one is your economic activity that takes place there. In the rural areas, you have primary economic activities taking place there, where with your urban areas, you have secondary and tertiary economic activities taking place there. Then you can also look at things like infrastructure, roads, railways, sewage, electricity, population, like we mentioned, economic activities, and then also just the sheer size of the settlements. Then in the video, they also mentioned dispersed and nucleated. So what's the difference between them? Dispersed, here your settlements are spread out over a large area. Nucleated, they are all very close to each other, all of your settlements. Okay, so when we talk about dispersed and nucleated, we can also talk about some advantages and disadvantages to each one. So just quickly to name a few, if you think about safety, it is definitely much safer to live close to each other. So nucleated will be a safer option because you have your neighbor next to you to also help you in a time where you might be threatened. And then something else is also where it comes to resources. Where nucleated, you might be able to share resources because you are living so close to each other. But the disadvantage of nucleated is you might have to travel a long way to get to your piece of land. Where dispersed, you have your house living or staying basically on your farm, so you are close to your piece of land. So there are some advantages and disadvantages to each one, and that is listed clearly in the video as well as your textbook. And then lastly, function. When we talk about function, you get two types, unifunctional and multifunctional. Unifunctional, there's one major function, and that's usually your primary activity. So when Kimberley started out, it was basically unifunctional, and this was for mining, of course, diamond mining. So that was a function. But now, after a very long time, hundreds of years, Kimberley has basically evolved, and it is now multifunctional. Okay, so there's more than one function now in Kimberley. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and please, if there's any questions, please let me know. I am available on WhatsApp. Thank you.